In-hand work may be one of the most useful skills and collection of exercises for both horse and for rider. In-hand work does more than just help the horse feel better and move better, but it can also really help us as riders improve our sense of feel and of balance. We start to learn the balance of the horse, the shape of their body when they're moving the best, and what we want to feel and replicate when we're under saddle. And it helps the horse become stronger and more supple in that self-carriage and in that movement so that we can more easily access it from the saddle. It also improves our sense of feel and how we use the line, how we can adjust the horse's balance, and how we can start to feel movement coming through our whole body. So even, for example, here, as I ask him to back up, instead of just pulling harder, I waited there on the line, and I thought about moving through my center. I wasn't even set up the best because I'm standing here in a leading position and had my hand kind of across my body. But it's these little things of how to move, how to respond to your horse that the in-hand work can be really beneficial for. I'm Callie, you're watching the weekly video show here, and today I want to talk about 3 specific examples of where you can use in-hand work. And we're going to get started with the first one, which is when you can't ride. This might be when weather's bad or if your horse has had an injury. And I've actually done this with Mr. Henry here that's with me today, who's a little bit moving around and ready to start our ride today. But in other examples where we would have really bad weather and we couldn't be out here, we could do some in-hand work in the barn aisle or even some very basic exercises in a stall to still be working on not only working together on something and being able to still have that time with your horse that's productive, good time, but doing something to really help soften and relax his body if he was stuck not being able to get out and do as much movement. I'm here with Henry. We're going to do a little training session for him in the barn aisle. So I wanted to do this session with him in here to just give you some ideas for how you can be working with your horse, doing some groundwork, doing some of the in-hand work in a pretty small space. So I'm going to start with just getting him walking and kind of getting him moving before I start asking him for anything that's more difficult physically. And there's a lot of times when the weather's cold that I start everything, I start rides, I start any kind of session with just movement, even for myself to kind of get the blood flowing a little bit, warm up. We're lucky to have a rubber floor, so as far as like the slipperiness isn't an issue, but you might have to, be a little careful or not do everything that I'm going to show here if you have a concrete barn aisle. And it might be a little more slippery. Notice I'm doing 2 types of turns here. I'm doing one turn where he's coming towards me. I'm kind of leading into the turn. And then I'm doing the other turn that I'm on the outside and he's having to take this bigger step with his front legs and keep his head away. So essentially I'm creating a little figure 8 here. And this in and of itself can be good practice. Here I'm drawing him into the turn. A little tap if I need him to kind of step under with his hind leg to be able to catch up and navigate that. And here, notice how I keep my hands in front of my body, and he's doing a really nice job of just moving and keeping that space. Even those are 2 little areas that you might be able to just spend some time working so you can get to that place where, as you're turning, your horse just kind of follows from this pressure. You don't want to be having to take your lead rope over like this in order to get that. So I hope this was helpful to just see this little session with Henry and gives you some ideas for how you can continue to progress with your horse, even if you're stuck in the barn during some bad weather. Another time you can use in-hand work is to help if your horse has more stiffness on one side of their body. My mare Noelle had a neck injury here on the left side of her neck, and she often has more trouble turning or bending to the left. So the in-hand exercises can help her become more supple to this side. When I'm going this direction, I focus on helping her keep an even rhythm and bend not just through the neck, but really through her whole body. When she starts to rush, I'm going to ask her to stop, soften. Wait. Good. And then we can start softly again. Wait. There. And ooh. In-hand work is also a great way to prepare for your ride. So if your horse has moved enough that you're able to do some of these in-hand exercises, so you want to do that little warm-up before you start, then these are really good for not only seeing where your horse is feeling physically, where they might be stiff, where you might be able to work through some of that bracing or stiffness before you get on for the ride, but also where they are mentally. So today, as we were getting started, Henry was paying a lot of attention to his herd mates, and he still kind of is, but through doing this in-hand work, he's starting to relax a little more, he's starting to be able to focus a bit more. Good boy. And we're coming into a better state physically and mentally to be able to start our ride today. Now that Henry and I have prepped for our ride with some in-hand work, we're going to go saddle up. If you're interested in learning more of the in-hand exercises for you and your horse, we'd love to have you join us in developing balance in hand with Patrick King. You can get all the details down below, and also leave a comment with what is a time that you feel in-hand work might benefit you and your horse. Maybe it's one of the examples that I listed in this video. Enjoy the ride, and I'll see you next time.